This is Our Rough Draft, a podcast, real talk for real relationships.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft, where we share real stories from marriage, work, life, and the adventures along the way. We'll laugh, maybe get real, and hopefully help you spark some new conversations in your own life.
I'm Denise, the wild, emotional one who loves words and big ideas.
And I'm Tim. I'm the practical level one who fixes what she dreams of.
And this is Our Rough Draft, where we share the stories we're still living.
Hi.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft.
Thanks.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
We're really bad at this.
As evidenced by how long it took us to set up and get ready.
Right? Well, we had a great idea to do it downstairs.
Why not? Got the space.
I know. Might as well try it rather than being crammed in our little spot.
That's right.
Mason stole our other chair, so he would be mad if we had to put it back together.
Yeah, he would be.
So awesome. Well, welcome back to season 2 of Our Rough Draft.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to spend some time with you. I feel like we've spent some time, but not like quality talking time.
Yeah, not this kind of time.
Yeah. So
I feel like we should have had champagne to toast the start of season 2 or something.
we can still do this because who knows if this will work with us being downstairs.
Fair enough.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about for season 2 is how do we go a little bit deeper? How do we not just talk surface level stuff and how was your week, right? Like that type of thing. But like, how do we really like dive into good, meaty questions?
Okay.
I know, right? Go a little deeper in season 2. So what's really exciting is I have the cards. Our cards are here. And these are like season 1 cards. So these are like just talking cards, which is cool. We can pull one and talk about it. But then season 2 cards go a little deeper. Oh, that was a good one.
Uh-oh.
So really kind of like starting some stories and then asking some questions that go a little bit further in. So, but let's catch up. We last recorded in December.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a longer break than we anticipated.
Yeah. Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I mean, there's been things going on like holidays and I don't know.
I think the start of your new job, getting in a routine.
Start of a job. Yeah.
I was really trying to get in the rhythm with my research and my doctoral program. But I really think it was just the change in the schedule, like not being here all the time together and being able to book it whenever we wanted to. I think that was a part of it. Yeah. And then just waiting and not scheduling it, not putting it on the calendar. And
yeah. I think just not making it a priority.
yeah. And so one thing led to another and it's April.
Yep.
So that's okay. It's going to be, we can do it. But I do want to just bookmark that I'm going to be on the road for a month. So we're going to have to schedule it remotely so that we dial in and do this when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Because I think that'll be important to connect even when I'm traveling, which gets me to a kind of a great story about us. I think most people are a little bit different than us. Maybe, I don't know. But when one of us travels, we never talk to each other.
No, we don't.
Like ever.
Yeah. It's weird. I was actually, I think about it every trip. And typically as I'm walking back to the hotel room after whatever day of meetings or whatever the activity was, I'm walking back to the hotel room and I'm thinking, I should probably call the family and see how everything's going. And I just don't. And I think for no other reason than I feel like things are happening. Like you're watching a volleyball game. Mason's not here because he's out with friends. You've got class, like XYZ, like insert thing here. And I think that is valid. And I don't need to interrupt it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I don't need to be in the middle of it and I don't need to take people away from whatever it is they're doing just to talk to me because I'm not there. Like I don't know that that's a thing for us.
Yeah. And I think it comes from the deployments.
Maybe.
We know how to be away from each other or drill, right? Like you could never call me on drill weekends. And so we just did it. It was like you left on Friday, you come home on Sunday. And that was what it was. And when you got back, usually like we were like, you're back. We're so excited. And it just like translated into traveling for work.
Yeah. And I think as I think more about it, I think that to your point, we may be different than other people. We might be exactly the same. Like, I don't know. But I think that it, obviously, I would never say that our behavior is unhealthy. I would always think that it's healthy. But I think that being able to live those two separate lives for whether it's a couple of days, whether it's a week trip, whatever it might be, but being able to exist in those two separate spaces and still be okay with us and with the family and all of that. I don't have to call every night to have you know that I miss you and that I would rather be home, or the kids are. So I think that it's okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we do when we're in person together is we've practiced not doing the how was your day and then you do a full rundown of the day, right?
Yeah.
Like we try and share highlights or lowlights.
Yeah.
And so a call at the end of the day feels like we might slip into that. Like, let me tell you the 3 things that happened from my day.
Yeah.
Rather than like really connecting over it. I'm also not a good phone person. Like I'm just not good at being able to break away from whatever I'm doing to be on the phone. I feel like it's an interruption. And so if I'm calling, I'm better sometimes maybe. But if I'm receiving it, I'm like, I don't know what that's about. That's weird.
Well, and I'll tell you, that comes across when I call and you're like, hi. And I can immediately tell. And then I feel like shit and like, why did I call? I'm just interrupting, so I'm not going to call again. Like, I think this is something that we've honed over the course of years to the point where now I don't do it because I don't want you to be, I don't know,
weird,
rushing me off the phone. Like, hi, what do you need?
Go for Denise.
Was just calling to say I love you, but now I'm calling to say something else.
I wish I could reach my phone and take a picture of what's happening on the other side of the camera right now.
The studio audience.
Yeah, the little pacing by little Miss Penny. She's very excited that we're downstairs.
I think it's more about it's close to dinner time.
I think that's true, but yeah. I like to.
I mean, you can think whatever you want.
I want to go back to what you were just saying about like kind of living our lives separately and then coming back together. That is a theme right now. Like we talked about it with our friend who was in town about that trip I want to do where we go to some city we haven't been to before. We both spend our days doing something for a couple of days and then we come back together and we spend the rest of the trip together. I was on the phone with another friend today and she was talking about relaying a trip from high school when her and her dad went to the former Soviet Republic and she stayed with a family and he stayed with other people and they had a separate experience. So she was there for choir and did her whole thing with this family and he did like sightseeing and this type of thing. So when they got done, they did come back together and it was like they had 2 separate trips and got to share about it. Yeah. I just love that idea. And I love that she had like a direct experience where it had worked and it was really cool.
I love the idea. I've always thought that would be a really cool thing to be in the same space and have different experiences for a couple of days and then to come back together and share them. I wonder how many times we would wind up in the same places or if we would wind up in the same places. So not telling each other just at the start of the day, you're going to go do your thing and I'm going to go do my thing. And then all of a sudden we wind up in the same restaurant or coffee shop or museum or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, it would be for sure. Okay, so let's do a little just catch up. What's been on your mind lately? What are you noodling through? What's going on at work? Anything exciting to share or doesn't have to be exciting? That's just my placeholder word.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm 4 months in at work and I think that I'm still struggling to answer the question of how it's going.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's about. I love the people that I work with. I love the team. I think it's, they're great people. So I'm not sure why I struggle so much with it. And I think it's because I don't know, like, is it a residual feeling from the way that things ended at Starbucks and the, the feeling of not being wanted and kind of being cast aside? That in and of itself, I think would be enough. But then there's also the fact that I used to work from home and now I'm working in an office with other people and I'm driving, almost 2 hours every day, to get there. And I don't have as much flexibility in my life as I used to have. I can't, clock off at 3:30 and go to the high school so I can watch his volleyball games. Like there's all of these things I think have changed in my life, not just in my job. Like it would be different if I had an office job one day and then the next day I just had a different office job. This was different. And so I think all of that comes into play and I don't want to I don't want to come across as being ungrateful. I don't want to come across as, I don't like my job or I don't like the people, because none of that is true. So I have to figure out a better way to get past some of those residual feelings about things to answer the question differently.
Do you think there's also, oh, my microphone kind of went away. Oh, well, we'll see how that worked. Do you think there's also, at this age, this stage of our life, a desire to not be defined by our job?
I mean, speaking for myself, I don't know. I think that there could also be something about the position that I'm in and feeling like at this point in my life and at this point in my career, should I be in a different position? Should I be further along? Should I be doing more? Should I feel like what I'm doing is more important to whatever organization I'm working for? I that's my own personal thing. Like nobody's ever, I don't think, told me that or said that to me, but it just makes me wonder. So I think there's also something there. So when you talk about the stage of my life, I think about stage of life equals whatever.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Because I think for you, this was kind of on paper, a lateral move, but because of the complexities of your old job and this one not having that, or the scale, that it almost feels backwards.
Yeah, I think that's true. And the people that I sit around are not from our team; they're from a different team, and that team does very I don't know the right word, kind of basic and repetitive work, like very just data entry type stuff. And so the dramas that they're dealing with in their day or the things that they're doing are not energizing to anybody else around them. I hear them talking like, I can't believe that happened. And they explain the problem. It's, somebody put a 0 where there should have been a 2, or I don't know, like, stuff like that. And so it used to be, I was surrounded by people that were doing very big and lofty and complicated things. And I think now I'm not. And so you don't get that same energy from people, you don't get that same vibe from the people that you're working with or the people you're around.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that right now. I can go from we call them division meetings. We have them once a month. I can go from one to the next and have zero contact with anybody else who works there in between. Like no emails, no conversations in the hallway.
It's wild.
It is. And even today, somebody's like, we had a meeting this morning and I was so excited to see people. And I got on that meeting and then I tried to reach out to somebody right afterwards. And she's like, oh, I'm in another meeting. I'm like, what other meeting? I'm not invited to another meeting. It's just funny how used to being in conversation, in the dialogue, in the drama, like you get used to that. And when it goes away, it feels like you've lost something, even though for me, I did this on purpose. I did this on purpose so that I would have time to do other things. And I'm still craving it, which makes no logical sense.
Yeah, that is I think it's an interesting point. Do you feel like you're struggling with both of those things being true?
Yeah.
Because, or not being true, but, trying to find both of those. You want the time to be able to do all of the things you want to do, to write, to create, do whatever.
Yep.
But you also want to be right in the middle of things and have the important role, not necessarily the corner office, but have that role that puts you in the middle of all of the action.
Yeah. I mean, we had a meeting today, kind of a midday, we call it just an hour. And people from the college will get on and share what is going on in their neck of the woods. People come in and listen and ask questions. And today it was in my area. So teamwork and education. And the two guys who are kind of the leaders or the voice for it were on and they were sharing kind of the work that's happening out in the field with K-12 schools and how we're supporting it at ASU. Well, I don't have a direct contact to that other than I'm teaching my students how to be those teachers eventually. Search directly aligns to it. So I'm listening and I'm just cheering them on and they're doing such a great job. And then at one point, there's a question about are we looking at the discrete skills that are needed to be on a team? And I was like, yes, we are. But I didn't say anything. It's not my show. And Lennon, one of the guys who is one of the leaders of it, goes, well, I know Denise is looking at that. And like for a moment, I was like, yes, I am, right? I wasn't forgotten about. Yes, I'm doing good and important work that is slow and methodical and will take years to be able to offer up all of it. But in the interim, I'm a really good person to have a conversation with about how to do it. And just that like, recognition for, yeah, Denise is the one working on it. And you talk about it with me. I need a lot of validation. And so that was the validation. And then there's moments of like, well, could I be doing more? I can't. Research takes time and you have to do it in an order. You can't leapfrog yourself. And so even if I was able to give it more time, I can't make it go faster. And so that realization helps. And knowing that once that research is done, I can make a bigger contribution. And I can probably make a contribution between now and then too, but that's not my role right now. And so that helps me kind of think it through. Right now I am contributing. In future days, I will be able to contribute more around the research.
Yeah.
So focus back on what it is that you want to do right now because there's a plan for it. I think if there wasn't that plan for it, I would be constantly striving to be like, can I be in that meeting? Can I offer my 2 cents here? I mean, there's other jobs at the university that I could do where I'm more involved, but I'm really good at what I'm doing right now. And so that's where I need to stay is with the students and building their skill set and allowing myself time to write and create and nap.
That's important.
I am a good napper for sure.
Yeah. That is your superpower.
So to go deeper into what I wanted to do for this season, let's talk about the fact that you have a new job and you've been doing it. How do you feel like it's been going for us with being supported in that?
I feel supported. If you define support as not, I don't know, being made to feel guilty that I don't get home until 6:30 or whatever. So I think from that point of view, I feel supported. Mason is self-sufficient. It's not like we have little kids running around the house where, there would have to be a parity of effort kind of thing. So I don't know. I haven't thought about it, I guess, that way. I think this is supportive because I don't know that I've had the opportunity to figure out why I can't answer the question. So I think the conversation is supportive to, help tease out some of those things and make me think thoughts about it that maybe I haven't been able to or just haven't wanted to up until this point. So I think that that's an expression of support.
Because I think over the course of our history, we've both done big things and tried new things on. And that can be a point of stress. And I haven't necessarily felt that this time.
No, I haven't either. And I think the biggest stress was going to be something that we solved last week with the new car. Like, I think the biggest stress was going to be, how do I get back and forth? And how do I do that in an economical way that, doesn't break the bank kind of thing. So, but I think that's another lasting impact of not working for Starbucks anymore. I think that's another thing. Didn't have to worry about 2 cars before because I was always here. And now we have to worry about that. And now we have to go out and buy a car. And we have to have a car payment and we have to think about gas. I have to commute. And there's all of that stuff then that flows from that one single decision that somebody made that I was going to no longer be eligible to work for the company because of living here. So I think it's just another thing. So my feelings about things are stemming from that life change, maybe more than I'm giving them credit for. Yeah. Feelings about the job, feelings about having to get a car, feelings about gas prices, feelings about XYZ, like things that are a concern that maybe didn't have to be a concern before.
What I'm hearing is this almost disappointment or frustration with the way that it ended at Starbucks. And I go to like core values for us. And loyalty is so big. So talk to me a little bit about maybe why loyalty is so important to you or how that shows up for you.
I think I would like to believe, and I think in my case, I could put the word justice in place of loyalty, and not justice in the kind of the traditional sense, but I think or maybe call it karma or balance, or you can probably put a bunch of different terms there, but I think one of my core things is I want to know effort given is effort rewarded, or I want to know that things, again, have that way of balancing out. And you've given this and you're getting this. And whatever those things might be, they're together, right? And so I think when something like this happens and you think that I've given all this effort, I've given all this time and energy, and what I get in return is no longer being needed, I think that's a really difficult thing for me, because it doesn't play into my idea of fairness or balance. And that's where it violates that core belief for me. What about for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think about how I feel about ASU. And even today, I was up in my office thinking about it and was thinking about brand colors, right? I don't know. This is ridiculous, but that's what I think about. That's how my brain works. And a part of what I am, what I do, how I show up in the world is maroon and gold. I am a brand representative of ASU, and I'm separate and different from ASU. Things for myself and for my own brand and for us that are separate, but I'm only starting to do that. And I think I need to do it more, knowing that what my role is there, and then I'm not in the big meetings and I'm not on everybody's email list and all of that, right? And so I can be a great alumni and I can be a great fan of ASU without it being 100% a part of me. And working to separate that a little bit more.
Do you think that would be easier if you didn't work there? I mean, is it the fact that you work there that kind of it brings those two worlds so close together that you have trouble kind of pulling them apart?
I think that I care deeply about wherever it is I work. So yes, I think that adds to it. And then add in the fact that it's where I went to school and like defined who I was. So it is kind of convoluted. I also think there's a piece where I feel like we moved down here for me to work for Dr. Crow, right? Like to go to work for the brand. And much like how you have feelings about why we moved to Wenatchee and why we moved back from Wenatchee.
Yeah.
Like I think that's part of it. And I don't necessarily know who I am without ASU being in the story. So yeah, so it's all very complicated in that way. And maybe just now I feel like I know enough and smart enough and skilled enough that I can go out on my own and do the good things, right? I have enough people in my corner who say that's just good rather than that would be good at ASU.
Yeah. I think that's an important thing, especially ASU's given you so much. It gave you, at a time that you really needed it, connection, community, belonging, love. I mean, it gave you the right things at the right time in your life when you...
Yeah, a couple of times.
I'm definitely a couple of times. And so I think it's important. And I think that's why it's more than just a college. It's more than just a university. It's represents something that, and I think a lot of people probably feel that same way. I mean, you know, you're coming into college, you know, kind of fresh out of the house and trying to find your place in the world. And so that place that you land sometimes gives you that. So it's natural to feel that way. And then to also work there is probably a double layer of that, you know, so it's... Yeah.
So it'll be the uncoupling this spring, I think, because my research is good and it doesn't just have to live in one place. So that's what's important. Let's go to a question.
Okay. Why is my eye messing myself up?
I don't know.
I think it's eyelashes poking me in the eye.
We're at kind of a turning point. So let's ask this question. Tell me about a moment we didn't realize was a turning point until later. Dun, dun, dun.
I could go back to the conversation on the dock.
Oh, let's go there.
What was the turning point?
It's a great story to share.
The time that we tried to drive over a bridge and you freaked out, I think was a turning point.
How was that a turning point?
Looking back on it, it was a sign of you're crazy that I probably should have seen. Or
creativity. Crazy, creativity. I think you could substitute one for the other.
They're both C words.
Tell the doc story.
So this was, I don't know, we'd been dating for a little while and you had moved to the light side of the world.
So summer of
98, 99, somewhere in there.
Fall, who knows?
Yeah. So you're living in Lishai. I remember we we're hanging out, and I can't remember the circumstances of the day, but we wound up still at your place as it was dark, and we walked down to the dock, and we were sitting on the dock and talking, and the conversation eventually went to you asking me if I really wanted to do this and saying, if you don't, it's fine, but let's figure out if you do and react accordingly, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm radically paraphrasing that conversation.
Yeah.
Like it was more than that, but I think it was a turning point in the sense that you kind of gave an ultimatum a little bit, like, you know, what is this going to be and what are we going to do about it? And I think that I'm certainly not the first person in a relationship to hear that conversation. But I think in any relationship where that happens, that is a turning point. Because again, you can either decide this is going to go forward or this is not. And obviously people change their minds later on down the road. So you can commit to it and then decommit later.
Right.
I mean, it happens in college basketball all the time. But for us, we committed to it. And here we are a lot of years later, 25 this year.
25 married. Yeah. I think I was not doing it from an ultimatum standpoint.
Well, and I know that. And I think the way that I felt in the moment was not that I was being given an ultimatum. The way that I felt in the moment was because this, you know, relationship was new for both of us. I was divorced recently at that point. Like it hadn't been very long. And so I think what I heard in that conversation was, this is probably new. This is probably somewhat complicated. This is probably maybe not where you thought you were going to be at this particular moment in time. So if this is not right, then let's figure that out. And so it didn't feel like, you know, I guess the way people more traditionally define it, like, you know, put a ring on my finger, I'm gone kind of situation.
Well, and you didn't. It took another minute.
I eventually did.
You did, but it was a couple of years later after that.
Oh.
But no, I'm good with that. Like, I think the reason is we had started as friends and it had changed. And I wanted to make sure that we would stay friends. And so we were either going to commit to try and date and do all the things or stop, stay friends, and then figure it out from there. And I wanted to make sure that there was room for you to take a break from being in a serious relationship if you wanted to.
Yeah. Which is exactly how I took it.
I love it.
So
I know. That's why we're still together. That makes sense.
Well, no, I mean, but all by way of saying, it's not that 25, 27, 28 years later, I am still feeling like I was forced into a relationship. You know, it hasn't taken me 28 years of a relationship with you to be, you know, figuring out that, man, I really didn't make the right decision at that point. Like, it's not like I'm harboring anything because of that conversation.
Yeah. A turning point for me, let me see if I can name the time, or maybe you can help me figure out when the time was. There was a point in our relationship where Finley's now interested in eating. We had many more inputs into our relationship, obligations of places where we needed to be, holidays with family, talking to my mom on the phone almost every day, and talking to Mitzi all the time. And something shifted and it became us. And when things got really hard, we turned to each other rather than the outside. And in my mind, when I think about that, I think it was probably sometime after the first deployment. Like, I don't know if I can pinpoint it, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. And I don't want to hijack your turning point. But I think that we had just got, if it truly was after that first deployment, we had just gone through a very tough time, each of us separately. And I think in those moments, you see who your support is and who you should turn to or can turn to. And then I think in those moments, maybe other things fall away to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Because you're saying this is a difficult time and I need support, and who can I turn to for it? And if those people aren't there or giving you support in the right way, some of those obligations or some of those relationships or some of those things that you had placed a lot of importance on before maybe aren't as important.
I think that's a true statement. I don't think that that's what happened in this case. I think it wasn't easy after that first deployment. Like, there were some really hard times. And I think there was at a point where I had to decide that all my energy had to go to us. And I couldn't take on anything else because I had left my job. I had gone back to school. You were back. You weren't doing well. And maybe it was also we moved. And so people thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear that. I couldn't listen to the noise.
Mm-hmm.
So we just went tight.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. But it was there was definitely something that switched where I would rather talk to you, even if you were the one I was talking about. Right? And
that feels healthy.
Yeah. But I think there's a piece of that, right? We're used to, or we learn to talk to our families, talk to our sisters, talk to our friends, and our dating and sitting on the dock and getting engaged and all that took a while and years. Our getting married, having kids, becoming a family, going to war was fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it would have evolved slower if we were normal, but we're not normal. We have our own weird shit always. And so it just I just remember that. And I just think it was a good lesson. And I hope that the boys see it. And if not, boys, listen to this part. It's okay to be insular and be about your new relationship or your new family and lock that in and dial it in and then bring other people into it. And sometimes have them go out. I mean, right? We talked about the 5, going back to the 5, sometimes you got to dial into that. And then it's fine to have 25 extra people. But there's times that it's important to go tighter.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting point because I would not look at that time period as being the same. I think that I just think it reflects the different perspectives, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an obvious statement, but I think it reflects the differences in where I was at that time and where you were. And I think I was, to your point, maybe not in a great place and couldn't see all those things that you were seeing and didn't realize maybe some of the pitfalls or potential pitfalls of the situation. But yeah, I think that's a really great point. Because I think even something as simple as, it wasn't simple, but I think something like moving, to your point, and you can't hear people saying, what are you doing? You're crazy for doing this. And this is not right. And because that then puts, or has the potential to put both of us at odds with each other. And that's the last thing that moment needs.
Right.
Is two people who aren't on the same page.
And you can't, I mean, I couldn't at that time be he's not okay. I didn't have a way of saying that or sharing that with the world because it wasn't mine to share. And I didn't feel like it was going to be permanent. We just had to do something.
Right.
And we had to get back to ourselves and back to you and all of that. But interesting to think back to that time. So it was post me doing my master's and starting teaching and all of that. And I think about that. And I have people in my life that have known me since then, since before then. In my teaching life, I think about Linda and Tracy, I think about Kelly, they went through that time with us. And I think, and obviously Sherry and Mitzi have been there the whole time, right? The people who've been there before, but the people we met during that time, I don't know if they would know how hard it was. I think Kelly and I have talked about it, but some of the other, I think we kept up a good appearance from the outside, maybe other than our crazy decision to move 73 times. But it would be interesting to know what other people think, or are they so in their own story that they're not even noticing because it was a big deal for us, but maybe it just wasn't for them.
Yeah. And I think because it would be really interesting to, I say that word a lot and I think I need to get away from that. I think it'd be great to have a conversation with the likes of a Mark and Kelly and what did you think during that time? And what did you see, not just thinking, but what did you see from us during that time? And did you see how things were? Yeah. I think it'd be great.
It'd be a fun conversation to have.
It'd be a fun conversation. And I think the other thing that comes to mind is how lucky we are that we have people that we could have that conversation with.
Yep.
People that have been around pre and post, people that we have such a connection with on an emotional level, a spiritual level, that it wouldn't just be like surface level conversation. That would be a very deep, deep conversation, and it would be great.
It just reminds me, right? Like it's a lot of the work I'm doing with the motherhood and this idea that we have all these stories within us and between us. And I kind of, people are like, tell us your one true story. Oh, like you have a different story on any given day and it can change and it can adapt and you can look at it differently. And your viewpoint on it from 1 year to 5 years can be completely different.
Yeah.
And then the other voices that fill in that story too are really interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said your word. Now it's like
I'm not going to be able to not hear it.
Yeah. Well, let's do a little wrap up round. I have no notes today. So let's do a wrap up round. What are we looking forward to? And what is something that is still on your mind, maybe in the world, or I'll start. Something that's on my mind right now is in my doctoral program. We watched a documentary last weekend to look at theory, but we were looking at the theory of like extreme gender. And so we watched this documentary on the manosphere.
Extreme gender.
Yeah,
I never heard
and
that term.
I can't get away from it now. So as you know, my undergrad focus was on gender and gender stereotypes and norms and all of that. And this is that to the nth degree. And then I started listening to these other podcasts and these authors and other professors, and they're just as toxic as this like extreme thing. And I am just like in it and I want to get out of it. Like it's really good, but like at the same time, like I feel obsessive about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to turn it off and go back to thinking about connection and belonging. So that's something I hope changes.
Can I ask you a question about it? Why? So why obsessed about it, do you think?
That's really easy. There are a number of people, typically men, who trade on being educational researchers. And as an educational researcher, I think that you're doing a disservice where they are taking information that maybe might be part of a research study and they're using it to their advantage. And I think it's problematic because they're not in their lane. They're not talking about the research they did. And they're just like off on a tangent selling things versus really sharing the content. So this one guy is talking about all these ways that you can make a change in your world. His latest book is out and it's like, blah, 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 change your life. And one of the things he talks about is how you can save your marriage. The dude's research is on nonprofits and art. He teaches at Harvard in the business school. So he says, here's the way. Here's the way. Do you want the way to save your marriage?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay, because you're a dude.
I am.
Sorry, my microphone is jacked right now.
I think it's the big knob.
That's what I was trying. Okay, here is it. You ready? You're a dude and I'm a girl.
Yep.
You have to give me deep eye contact. And when you give me deep eye contact, I will swoon and I will be yours forever.
Are you kidding me?
That's what he says. Do you know what you need? I have to touch you more.
Wow.
Right?
It's all so easy.
Right. And I know where that research comes from. Some of it is true. Like there are some, or it's not even some women. Women respond to eye contact more than men do. It doesn't mean that that's the thing that's going to solve your marital problem. Some men really like touch and like in the research and like touch more than women do. Probably because guys are groping women all the time.
Yeah, probably
we can go to why that is. But I like a good like hand on my back when we're at basketball. You have to know what the other person wants, because if you start giving me like deep eye contact, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. Not what I want. But he even went so far as to say, like, don't talk to your wife in the car. Only talk to her when you can sit across from her and look in her eyes.
Oh my God.
Which is total bullshit, because actually having deep conversations when you're sitting next to somebody is sometimes even better, because you can relax and just like think and not feel like you're under microscope, but it's not holistically for all. Like, you have to find out about the person.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a, if I'm understanding your point is you have a couple of points, I think, on the whole toxic masculinity or just the bro culture, to your point, which I totally get. We've had so many conversations around that, and it makes me sick to my stomach also. But two, the egregious misuse of your position as an educator to push shit that is not valid or be even in your area of expertise.
Right.
Like, just because you work for Harvard doesn't mean that you're any smarter than the rest of us. And to push this whole point of eye contact, and come on.
Well, and it like oversimplifies everything, and it makes people feel bad because it's like, oh, I've got to do it the one way. There is not one way. Like I say to my students, there's not one right way, and you're going to get it wrong. And when you get it wrong, how do you come back from it? How do you repair? That's the secret sauce, is that you're constantly in conversation in your relationships to make them better, not trying to solve anything in them.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I get twisted up about the research element. Even there was a woman I was listening to the other day, a podcast I really like. And the woman she was interviewing was like, the truth is, and anytime I hear like the one way or the truth, like that there's one way. Like, I think that we can all do this life in the way that makes the most sense to us and feels the most true to each of us. And we should be doing it in a way that is doing no harm to others. Finley's doing a little harm to me right now with his whining.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I've always felt like there was a danger in like the personality tests and the self-help books and because it's there's no way that you are possibly covering everybody with everybody's unique human things and circumstances and makeup and all of that. Like, you can't do it. And I don't think a lot of them, like, the good ones don't try to. The good ones put the disclaimer out there that, look, this is this, take it for what it is. But a lot of them are not that way. A lot of them do say the way, the truth, the 5-step formula, come on. It's not true.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's where I am right now.
That's what's on your mind right now?
Do you have anything that's on your mind right now?
I think just like any other time that we come out of these conversations, it always spurs things for me. And I think the thing that it spurs is what we talked about at the beginning, where I kind of need to figure my shit out. I kind of need to figure out what baggage I'm carrying around right now and let go of that baggage so that I can just let go of it. Like, I don't know. Like, and not that I want to lie to people. I think if I'm lying to people, I think I want to live into that lie. And by that, I mean, if somebody says, how's your job going? I want to be able to say, it's great. I like it. And I want that to be true. I don't want that to be me just trying to say something to get past the conversation. So in order for that to be true, I got to figure out what I need in order to make it true. You know what I mean? If I have thoughts about how much I'm getting paid or the commute or all of this stuff, like, I've got to figure out a way to get past all that stuff. And I think, honestly, the way to do it is to be grateful. And I think that so many people have been in such worse situations than me in terms of jobs, especially right now, that for me to know that my last day was November 21st. And I already knew at that point that I was starting a new job on December 1st. I didn't have to worry about that. And I knew that long in advance. I had no sleepless nights about making a transition and would I be able to find something like a lot of people did. So I think I have to start thinking I think I have to start looking at it from a gratitude point of view. And get past that baggage. So that's what's on my mind.
Yeah. And can I offer something on the gratitude idea? I think it's micro. So we can say,
like, really small gratitude.
Yeah. Finding moments.
Yeah.
Versus like, I'm just grateful that I have this job. Like, you've got to I get to listen to 3 new albums every week because I'm in the car. Right. Or like, I don't know. But those micro moments of it, or even micro like celebrations within it, right? Like, I went up to your office the other day and we had lunch. Like, how do we define what you need so that it can feel like you can be grateful for it.
Yeah. And I think part of yes to all of that. And I think there's also another part of the formula where I just need to fucking get over myself or get over it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's so hard though at our age to change. Fuck. Like, same every day. I'm like, I choose this. I choose to get my butt in the chair and write. Like, that is a choice. And I am so glad I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Some days my chair is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it doesn't mean that it has to be a like Pollyanna, I'm always happy and this is always great kind of thing. But I think it does have to be, to your point, those small moments of gratitude. Like, I get to see sunrises, driving up the 202. It's kind of always in the same, at the same time of day. I get to see some really amazing sunrises. And sometimes I get to see some really amazing sunsets. Like, so those small moments of, I wouldn't have seen this if I wouldn't be, if I wasn't going to work at this particular moment, or, there's a million other things that you can be grateful for. And I think that's a mindset shift. And I think I've done better about that in the last, I don't know how many years of my life. And I think it's a practice, and I need to keep practicing the skill of finding those moments of gratitude so that it is, net good versus net bad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that makes me feel like we should have a micro moment of gratitude on the podcast each week so that we can like pull one in and have some accountability around it.
I like it.
All right. We'll start that next week.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for sitting on the couch and talking to me.
Yeah. New setting, new season. All kinds of brand new things, but I'm glad we're back at it. It's good.
Yeah. And if anybody wants the cards, I have them. So you can have them too. They're pretty cool.
I agree.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, oh.